What if I told you that silence, not anger, not begging, not explanations, is the most piercing thing you could ever offer after a breakup? Most people think that if they could just find the right words, the perfect message, they could make someone come back. But the truth? Words rarely change anything. In fact, it's the absence of words, the emptiness, the quiet, that echoes louder than any speech. Silence forces them to face a version of you they weren't prepared for, calm, composed, and untouchable. And here's the best part. You don't need to manipulate. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to be still, to hold your ground, and let the silence speak on your behalf. In stillness there is strength, if you know how to use it. You are standing at a critical fork in the road. Will you keep reacting and fueling their sense of control, or will you embrace the quiet and become someone they can no longer predict or define? Now, if you're ready to stop chasing and start owning your power, hit the like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I master silence, not emotions. Let's dive in. Number 1. The quiet rebellion, shattering expectations without a word. In the aftermath of heartbreak, every instinct urges you to react. The silence left behind feels unbearable, as if speaking out, pleading, or explaining could somehow reverse the situation. And that's precisely what she anticipates. She expects the desperate texts, the emotional confessions, the frantic calls begging for a second chance. It's the pattern she has seen before. It's the script most men unknowingly follow, but Stoicism offers you a different path, a silent, powerful rebellion. Silence in this context isn't running away, it is standing tall without making a sound. Picture a warrior who, even when wounded, refuses to cry out. His silence does not deny the pain, it demonstrates his mastery over it. When you choose silence instead of reacting emotionally, you immediately disrupt her expectations. You create confusion, curiosity, and even discomfort, not because you intended to harm, but because you refuse to play your old role. This silence doesn't go unnoticed. It echoes louder than words. She will start to wonder, why isn't he reaching out? Is he unaffected? Has he moved on? This is where the Stoic principle becomes your greatest asset. In a world addicted to immediate emotional gratification, your composure becomes rare and irresistible. You aren't suppressing your emotions, you're commanding them. You don't deny the storm inside you, but you don't let it drive your actions. Here's your practical action. Remain silent. No texts, no social media stalking, no late-night calls or cryptic statuses. When you feel the urge to act, redirect that energy. Go for a walk, train your body, reflect on your values, or engage in meaningful work. Every time you choose silence, you are not retreating, you are reinforcing your inner walls. The psychological effect is undeniable. You immediately change the dynamic. She no longer sees you as someone crumbling under the weight of emotions, but as someone capable of standing firm. In Stoicism, this is dignity, the ability to suffer without complaint, to endure without spectacle. Remember, you don't need to convince her of anything. Let your silence do the talking. Often, the absence of reaction is more haunting than any words you could have said. Now, speak out and comment below. I control my mind, no one else does. Number 2. The hidden magnetism of self-control. In the raw aftermath of rejection, the first urge is often to unleash everything bottled up inside. You want her to see your pain, to witness your anger, longing, or regret. Maybe, deep down, you hope this emotional avalanche will somehow change her mind. It feels natural, it feels human, but this is the very pitfall that strips many men of their dignity and power. When you lose control, you give her all the leverage. What most fail to realize is that emotional outbursts rarely pull someone closer. In fact, they often push them further away. Tears, accusations, or desperate pleas are not seen as demonstrations of love. They are interpreted as signs of emotional dependency, and once someone knows they can rattle you so easily, the dynamic tilts entirely in their favor. You no longer hold your ground, you orbit around them. But imagine instead that you resist this urge. You don't have to suppress your feelings. You're still allowed to feel, but you no longer allow emotions to dictate your actions. This is where Stoicism comes alive. Like a seasoned captain steering his ship through a storm, you navigate turbulent emotions without letting them capsize you. This is not emotional numbness, it is emotional command. Think about this clearly. In a world where most men crumble after a breakup, the man who remains calm, focused, and composed stands out like a lighthouse. This isn't about faking strength, it's about cultivating it. Your ability to hold yourself together quietly sends a message. I can endure loss without losing myself. To her, this is both unexpected and magnetic. Here's your action step. From today, when emotion rises, don't fight it, but don't obey it either. Observe it like a stoic observer watching a storm from a distance. Go for a workout. Write down what you feel, but never hand those feelings to someone who might misuse them. The more you practice this, the more you'll feel your internal center solidify. And the effect? Over time, she begins to notice, not through words, but through your unwavering presence. Your silence becomes intriguing, and your composure becomes unforgettable. You shift from appearing emotionally fragile to embodying quiet strength. Now, speak out and comment below. I control my mind, no one else does. Number 3. The Unreadable Man. Why mystery makes you powerful. After a breakup, most men unknowingly become an open book. Every emotion spills out through texts, social media posts, or desperate conversations. They make it clear they are hurting, lost, or longing. But here's the Stoic truth. Transparency, when driven by desperation, weakens you. When someone can easily read you like a story they've already finished, they lose interest. The ending is predictable. But when you choose silence, you don't just withhold words, you create mystery. You become unreadable. She no longer knows if you are devastated, healing, or indifferent. This uncertainty unsettles her. The human mind, when faced with the unknown, starts to fill in the gaps. And often imagination is far more powerful than reality. She begins wondering, is he hurting as I expected? Has he already moved on? Or is he stronger than I thought? In a world where oversharing has become the norm, mystery is rare. Most people rush to show their emotions online, hoping for sympathy or attention. But you, by staying silent, do the opposite. You resist the urge to prove your pain. Instead, you hold it privately, like a warrior tending to his wounds alone. This is not about pretending you feel nothing. It is about not giving others the satisfaction of watching you fall apart. So, what should you do? Nothing. Again, no cryptic social media posts, no silent messages aimed at making her jealous, no indirect stories about heartbreak. Every time you resist sharing for validation, you increase the mystery. Instead, let her imagination run wild while you quietly focus on your growth. And here is where the power shifts. She goes from feeling certain about your reactions to becoming consumed by uncertainty. In psychology, this is known as uncertainty-driven attention. What is unclear tends to hold more space in our minds than what is fully explained. By being unreadable, you become unforgettable. Not because you tried to manipulate, but because you mastered yourself. Remember, you are not doing this for revenge or attention. You are doing this because the Stoic man knows true power is found in what you don't say. Now, speak out and comment below. I control my mind, no one else does. Number 4, cutting off attention. The silent strike she didn't expect. When a relationship ends, most men don't just lose their partner, they lose themselves in the habit of constantly giving attention. They keep checking in, liking posts, sending casual messages, or lingering in the background, hoping to stay relevant. What they don't realize is that attention is not just harmless, it is power. And every ounce of attention you give her after she's left is like handing her control over you on a silver platter. The hard truth is, attention is the most valuable currency in relationships, especially after a breakup. Your words, your energy, even your mere acknowledgement Make her feel important and central to your life. Without realizing it, you're reinforcing her sense of control, confirming that she still occupies space in your world, even though she chose to step out of it. Now imagine this. Instead of playing into this dynamic, you simply stop. No messages, no reactions, no interest shown. You cut off the flow of attention like turning off a faucet. At first, it feels unnatural because you've been conditioned to believe that giving more will eventually fix things. But in truth, withdrawing attention is one of the most potent moves you can make. In Stoic philosophy, this is called reclaiming your locus of control. Instead of wasting energy trying to influence what's outside, her thoughts, her feelings, you turn inward. You invest your attention where it truly belongs, yourself. When you stop fueling her ego with attention, she no longer receives the validation she subconsciously expects. The dynamic shifts, silently but powerfully. Here's your next step. Resist every temptation to show her she still holds importance. This doesn't mean acting bitter or resentful. It means vanishing with dignity. Put your attention into your goals, your health, your discipline. Every moment you're tempted to look her way is an opportunity to look inward instead. And soon, the psychological impact will become undeniable. She will feel the absence, not just of your presence, but of your attention, the very thing she might have taken for granted. Without it, her ego feels the void, and without the validation she once controlled, you become a man who no longer revolves around her. Now, speak out and comment below. I control my mind. No one else does. Number 5. Silent growth. Becoming the man she didn't see coming. Most men, after being left, spend their days ruminating, venting, or seeking closure. They pour their energy into proving they're still worthy, often directly to the person who walked away. They plead, explain, or display progress in hopes of being noticed, but the truth is, nothing repels more than trying to impress someone who no longer values you. A Stoic takes the opposite route. He doesn't announce his evolution, he simply grows, quietly, invisibly. Instead of wasting time seeking external validation, he commits to building himself internally and externally. Your silence is not stagnation, it is the soil where transformation happens. And it's precisely because she no longer has front-row seats to your life that the effect becomes so powerful. Imagine this. While she assumes you're stuck, drowning in emotions, you are sharpening yourself. Your body gets stronger, your mind clearer, your purpose brighter. You're not doing this to show her or to get revenge. You're doing it because your highest duty is always to yourself. This is the essence of Stoic discipline. Improve quietly, not loudly. And here's the shift most men miss. When you grow silently, you create an invisible tension. Eventually, through whispers from mutual friends, subtle social cues, or sheer absence, she realizes you are no longer the same man she left. You didn't just survive, you advanced. She is left to wonder, did I misjudge him? Has he always been this strong? Did I walk away too soon? These questions don't come from anything you said. They arise naturally when your silent progress echoes louder than words. So what should you do now? Pour yourself fully into your evolution. Whether it's hitting the gym, building your career, cultivating Stoic virtues, or simply regaining mental clarity, do it without seeking applause. Let your silence be the proof. Don't post it, don't announce it, just become it. And over time, the reality sets in. You're no longer orbiting her world, you've become your own sun, radiating from within. And nothing is more attractive than a man who grows silently, yet shines undeniably. Now, speak out and comment below. I control my mind, no one else does. Number 6. Guarding the fortress, protecting your emotions from unworthy eyes. In moments of heartbreak, many men feel compelled to bare their souls, hoping that vulnerability will win back affection. They think that by showing pain, remorse, or even anger, they are proving how deeply they cared. However, the harsh reality is this. When you expose your emotions to someone who has already devalued you, you're handing them a weapon, one they might not hesitate to use. Stoicism teaches that emotions are not weaknesses. On the contrary, emotions are powerful forces within us. But when you let them spill uncontrolled in front of someone who no longer cherishes you, you're giving away your most intimate power. And worse, you make yourself easy to manipulate. She knows exactly which buttons to press because you have willingly put the control panel in her hands. Now imagine instead that you keep these emotions guarded, not bottled up, but directed inward. You recognize them, you process them, but you don't parade them for someone who might misuse them. Your emotional life becomes your fortress. The walls don't make you numb, they make you safe. You are not avoiding feeling, you are choosing who deserves to witness your inner world. This is the Stoic way, not indifference, but discretion. There is strength in feeling deeply but keeping it private. Like a king who does not show the cracks in his armor to the enemy, you too should only reveal your emotions to those worthy of them. She may probe, test, or try to spark a reaction, but when you don't give her access, you disarm her entirely. Here's your action step. Every time you feel tempted to show her you are hurting, pause. Write down your feelings in a journal. Share them with a trusted friend if necessary, but do not give them directly to the person who caused the wound. Each time you hold back, you reclaim a piece of power. And what happens when you maintain this inner fortress? You become unreadable, untouchable, and most importantly, untamed by her influence. The man who feels, but is not enslaved by feeling, commands respect, both from himself and from others. Now, speak out and comment below. I control my mind, no one else does. Number 7. From chaser to challenge. The art of reversing the roles. Before the breakup, you might have found yourself constantly chasing, texting first, planning everything, or working endlessly to keep her attention. In the eyes of many women, this is expected behavior, especially when they sense they have the upper hand. And when the relationship ends, most men continue the pattern by clinging, apologizing, or trying to negotiate their way back into her life. Without realizing it, they make themselves predictable and easy to dismiss. But what happens when you remove yourself from that role entirely? When you don't just stop chasing, but step back fully and without resentment? You are no longer the pursuer, you become the prize. In Stoic philosophy, this is the shift from being externally controlled to becoming internally governed. You no longer operate based on her attention, approval, or rejection. You operate solely based on your own principles. This sudden withdrawal creates an uncomfortable space. She begins to question her assumptions. The man who used to chase is now silent. No texts, no indirect hints, no desperate gestures, just silence and the calm continuation of life. Suddenly, you're not the man pleading to be noticed. You're the man who seems perfectly fine without her. This is where power quietly returns to you. Remember, human nature abhors a vacuum. The absence of your attention creates curiosity, and curiosity often leads to pursuit. She starts to wonder if you've moved on, if someone else has your attention, or if you've simply become stronger. The dynamic shifts without you uttering a word. You have turned the tables, not by manipulation, but by reclaiming your dignity. Your next action is simple but powerful. Continue stepping back. No subtle attempts to get noticed, no cryptic social media posts. Let the silence do its work. Meanwhile, invest fully into yourself. Make yourself, not her, the center of your attention. And as this process unfolds, you will notice not only how her perception shifts, but how you begin to see yourself differently. You will no longer be the man who waits for scraps of attention. You will be the man who defines his own worth. Now speak out and comment below. I control my mind, no one else does. Number 8. The silent comeback. Growth without announcement. In the minds of most men, recovery is often imagined as a grand comeback, a display meant to prove to the one who left that they've made a mistake. They hit the gym obsessively, post their progress online, and secretly hope that she notices. But the Stoic knows, Real growth needs no audience. The most powerful comeback happens quietly, when no one is watching, and especially when no validation is being sought. You don't have to announce your progress. You don't have to prove anything to her or anyone else. The true purpose of your silent evolution is not to make her regret, but to make yourself whole. While others are still glued to their ex's social media, clinging to hope or bitterness, you will be rebuilding from within. This is the difference between shallow self-improvement and genuine transformation. Picture the blacksmith who hammers steel alone in the workshop day and night without applause. He isn't performing for an audience, he is forging a blade to withstand the test of time. Your growth must be like this, patient, disciplined, and private. You don't need to parade it on social media or hope for her to stumble across it. You simply become better because it is the right thing to do. Here's what you must do now. Build in silence. Improve your health, refine your mindset, strengthen your financial stability, deepen your purpose. But do it with no intention of proving anything to her. Let her wonder, let her stay in the dark. When she eventually notices, if she notices, it will be far too late. By then you will have outgrown the version of yourself that once waited for her validation. And this is the true silent comeback. Not a performance, but a rebirth. By the time she realizes how much you've grown, it won't even matter to you. You'll no longer be looking backward. You'll be too focused on what lies ahead. Now, speak out and comment below. I control my mind, no one else does. Number 9. The clean break. Why detachment is the ultimate power move. Many believe that fully letting go means becoming cold or heartless, but this is a misunderstanding. True detachment isn't about suppressing feelings or pretending you never cared. It's about recognizing reality with clarity and choosing peace over chaos. Stoicism teaches that suffering comes not from events themselves, but from our attachments and expectations. And when someone has already chosen to walk away, clinging to them only prolongs your own misery. Letting go does not mean you stop feeling. It means you no longer invest those feelings into someone who is unwilling to meet you halfway. When you release attachment, you take the first real step toward reclaiming your inner calm. The moment you truly stop hoping for a reaction, a reconciliation, or an explanation, you win. You no longer play the unwinnable game of chasing closure or validation. But here's what makes detachment powerful beyond words. It is the final move that leaves them powerless. When she realizes that you are not only silent but completely detached, she is left facing the full consequence of her decision. Every attempt to draw a reaction fails. Every subtle test, posting pictures, reaching out indirectly, or using mutual friends, falls flat. Why? Because you are no longer participating. Here's your practical action. Commit to full detachment. No hidden hopes, no watching from the shadows, no passive waiting. Mentally and emotionally exit the situation. Pour all that energy into mastering yourself. Let detachment be your declaration, not of bitterness, but of freedom. The psychological effect on her? Unlike silence alone, detachment is unshakable. She may still attempt to regain your attention out of habit or curiosity, but deep down she will sense that she no longer has access to you. This is not revenge, it's not punishment. It's you choosing to protect your mind, your peace, and your dignity. When you master this step, you are no longer bound to her story. You've written your own. Now, speak out and comment below. I control my mind. No one else does. Number 10. The unforgettable lesson. Leaving a legacy without words. Long after the breakup, when the dust has settled and both of you have gone your separate ways, there will come a moment of reflection. For most men who reacted emotionally and pleaded for attention, their memory fades. They become just another chapter in her story. But for the Stoic man, the one who walked away with silence, dignity, and composure, his absence leaves a permanent mark. Not because he tried to, but because he lived by principle, not emotion. The beauty of Stoicism is that it does not aim for revenge, validation, or recognition. It aims for inner peace and strength. Ironically, this is exactly why it leaves the deepest impression. When you refuse to act out, to beg, or to retaliate, you become an example of something rare: restraint. In a world where most are slaves to emotion, you stood apart. At some point, whether months or even years later, she will remember you, not as the man who crumbled, but as the man who stood tall, the one who didn't need to prove anything, the one who didn't perform or seek validation. And in that silence, you become unforgettable. Not because you tried to haunt her, but because you respected yourself enough to disappear with grace. Here's what you must realize. By practicing silence, detachment, and growth, you don't just survive the breakup, you transcend it. You become a living example of someone who cannot be broken by the decisions of others. And while she may or may not express it, you will have taught her a lesson no words could deliver. That value is not declared, it is demonstrated. Your action now is to stay the course. Keep building, keep growing. Let time do what it does best: reveal the truth. The most profound message is not spoken but lived, and long after she forgets the words of every argument, she will remember the man who refused to crumble. Now, speak out and comment below. I control my mind, no one else does. You came here believing that words could fix what was broken, but now you realize it was never about what you said, but about what you withheld. She didn't expect silence. She expected the same old version of you, desperate, emotional, predictable. But you showed her something else, someone unshaken by loss. Your strength was never in trying to explain, it was in becoming beyond explanation. If you're ready to keep growing into the kind of man who speaks volumes without uttering a word, like this video, subscribe and comment. I am unstoppable. Stay disciplined, keep building, because real power doesn't make noise, it's felt.